I attempted a playthrough of Pokemon Emerald, but every time I beat a trainer, I have to throw away my current Pokemon team and replace them with the team that I just beat. So, up against Gym Leader Flannery, I defeat her team of 4 super strong Pokemon. Now, I have those Pokemon myself, which is amazing. I go to fight the next required trainer in the game, which is Cool Trainer Randall in the Petalburg Gym. I defeat him and take his team, which is, less amazing. Although my teams vary greatly in strength, I have to find a way to use the previous trainer's team to progress through Emerald. And that means taking the chain of Pokemon all the way to becoming the league champion. And maybe even further? But for now, I beat Cool Trainer Parker and his Spinda, then use that Spinda to defeat Cool Trainer Jody's Zangoose. However, the next mandatory fight in the game is against the 5th gym leader, Norman. Is it possible for just one Zangoose to defeat this whole team? I actually think it is. Zangoose knows 2 moves, Swords Dance and Slash. Knowing that, you can probably see what's so appealing about this Pokemon. Being able to max your attack after 3 turns and then hitting with a strong stab move is very interesting. But is it enough to defeat Norman's team of 4 Pokemon? One of which is level 31. Zangoose is only level 26, and I'm not allowed to change the movesets or level up Zangoose. I have to use the exact Pokemon that I stole. Here's what I can do. Norman starts with a Spinda who always seems to go for Teeter Dance. It's 100% accurate, so I'll always be confused on my first Swords Dance turn. I don't hit myself in confusion and use Swords Dance again. And sometimes, Norman will tell Spinda to use Teeter Dance again, even though I'm already confused. This kinda would make sense if I had more Pokemon and could switch out, but I don't. I guess Norman assumes I have an item or something? I don't know, but whoever programmed this AI, I thank them. On my final Swords Dance turn, I just need Spinda to Teeter Dance me again. This leaves me perfectly healthy, and at +6, I can absolutely one-hit KO Spinda. Norman sends out Slaking next, which is very scary. Slaking is faster than me and goes for Facade, which just barely doesn't kill. I hit through Confusion, of course, and Slash will be a 2-hit KO, even with Citrus Berry. Thanks to Slaking's Loafing turn, I can go for Slash again, taking out Norman's ace. Third is Vigoroth, who's definitely faster than me and, of course, sees a kill. What am I gonna do? Well, I'm allowed to use the same items the trainer before me used. But it was just some random gym trainer, right? Wrong. Certain classes of trainers can use items, and cool trainers in this gym use 1 Hyper Potion. So, that means I have 1 Hyper Potion to use here. The best part about this is that since Vigoroth sees a kill, it goes for a random move like Feint Attack instead of a much stronger stab move like Slash. Now I can tank a Slash and retaliate with my own Slash to kill Vigoroth. Lanoon also goes for Slash, which doesn't kill me, and I can knock it out with 1 final attack. And that's the story of how 1 level 26 Zangoose took down Norman's entire team. Because I cleared out the trainers east of Mauville before Watson, I don't have to fight a single other trainer until I reach Team Aqua in the Weather Institute. I use Norman's team to defeat the first grunts Zubat and Poochyena, and use them to defeat a second grunt's very similar team, and use those 2 to beat Poochyena and Carvanha. The previous 2 grunts could be taken on in any order, but I wanted a Carvanha to take on Admin Shelly. Her team isn't great, and Carvanha's attacking stats make light work of Shelly's Carvanha and Mightyena. I was really worried that the Fortree rival would be just as tough as the Slateport rival, but my PTSD was all for naught. Mightyena can easily 1v1 Slugma, and even with a 3-level difference, I can use Swagger to force Grovyle to hit itself in confusion for devastating damage. I can bite flinch with Mightyena until Pelipper takes it out, switching over to Carvanha to take out Pelipper. I can't carry my rival's team all the way to Winona's gym fight, since there are some mandatory trainers in her gym. However, Brendan's Pokemon are still very useful here, as the next mandatory fight is a double battle against Camper Flint and Birdkeeper Eduardo. This is the first double battle I've run into with more than 2 Pokemon, so there's a lot that can go wrong here. This fight is surprisingly tough, tough. So I'm glad I had a strong team for this one. My goal was to make this a 2v1, so I targeted the left side, taking out Doduo with Ember and Burns, then bringing in Grovyle to Leaf Blade Pelipper, while my own Pelipper just clicked Protect every other turn. Thanks to another crit, I take out Swellow, and then Xatu with Pursuit. Since it just goes for Leer, I can wrap up the fight. There's one other mandatory trainer here with the Tropius, but just Swellow takes it out no problem. However, one Tropius doesn't even come close to defeating Winona. So how can I beat her? Well, there are a ton of optional trainers available for me to fight right now. If I defeat them, I take their team. And if they happen to have a team much better suited to take on Winona, well, that would be great. I'm calling these bridge teams, because they bridge the gap between mandatory fights. Currently, with 5 badges, I still have access to go all the way down to Lily Cove City, to Mount Pyre, and to Route 123 in the south. There aren't any required trainers to get to any of these places. Since so much is accessible, one of these trainers must have a decent team I can beat. There is one trainer I have my eye on, but I can't beat them yet, as Tropius, and this is a hot take here, is a bad Pokemon. Aww. Instead, I bring Tropius to Route 120 on the way down to Lily Cove. Here I can fight this small child itching for a double battle as a single battle. This is Ninja Boy Riley, and his team is a Nincada and a Coughing. 2 pretty terrible Pokemon, which is great because they're so bad that even a Tropius can defeat them. I want these 2 for my team because although they are bad, they match up well against the team I'm actually gunning for. Also on Route 120 and also as a single battle, I can find cool trainer Leonel, who has one Pokemon I really want to steal for myself, Manectric. I take it on with the ground-type Nincada since it's pretty much the only ground type available. This means I can only be hit by Quick Attack, and Nincada actually knows Dig for good damage. I can win and take Manectric for myself. It's clear why Manectric is a good Pokemon for Winona, but this Manectric is special. This Manectric knows Thunder. Not Spark, not Thunderbolt, Thunder. A move like Thunder is so unbelievably helpful in a challenge like this. The strong move is nerfed by its poor accuracy, but if it misses, guess what? I just reset and try again. Resetting to get optimal RNG is a necessity in this challenge. My goal is to determine if this is theoretically possible, and in theory, I can force this move to hit every single time. Thunder one-hit KOs Swablu, and Winona sends out Altaria, who is scary due to its dragon typing and resistance to electric moves. Oh, also it knows Earthquake, which thankfully it doesn't always see a kill with. That means it can sometimes go for Dragon Dance instead, which is great, until I remember that now it's faster than me and strong enough to kill with Earthquake. Basically, Altaria can always kill me on the second turn. And Thunder isn't even a 2-hit KO, meaning even a crit won't kill. So how do I possibly win here? Well, Thunder can sometimes paralyze. So if Altaria goes for Dragon Dance, and then I just so happen to get a crit plus paralyze, bing bang boom, puzzle solved. From here, Manectric outspeeds and kills Skarmory, 2-hit KOs Tropius as it tries to go for Solar Beam, and Thunder absolutely rocks Pelipper, not only allowing cool trainer Leonel's Manectric from soloing Winona, but doing so without losing a single point of health. If you enjoy this challenge, make sure you like the video and comment below which Pokemon game I should try next. Also, make sure you're subscribed and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next playthrough like this. With the 6th gym out of the way and Mount Pyre and Magma hideout on deck, it's motherfucking grunt time. I beat the 4 grunts on Mount Pyre in succession, and then the 7 grunts in Magma hideout. Trust me, all you missed was a lot of Zubats using Bite, and way too many Poochyenas with 0 attacking moves, forcing me to rely on swagger self-hits to win the fight. Thrilling stuff. Things actually do get interesting when I go to face Leader Tabitha though. Once again, he has a wide variety of Pokemon, enough that one Zubat from the previous grunt stands no chance. I have to find another trainer that matches up well against his largely fire-focused team. I take my Zubat to Route 123 south of Mount Pyre and defeat Expert Frederick and his Makahita and Machoke. This team beats Collector Ed's Zangoose and Seviper, and they defeat Cool Trainer Wendy, who has a Mawile, Rosalia, and a Pelipper with Water Gun. That move one-shots the Numel, two-shots the Camerupt, takes out the Mightyena, and why not, takes out the Zubat too. Literally didn't even need Mawile or Rosalia. But just like in Mount Chimney, Tabitha's team has a lot of trouble with Maxie. His Pokemon are much higher leveled than Tabitha's, and he has a freaking Crobat now. Skipped right over Golbat, straight to Crobat. Absolutely no mercy. In Mount Chimney, I could brute force a victory, but here, I can tell early on that this is gonna be impossible. I need to find another trainer. But what random optional trainer is gonna have Pokemon that can even come close to Maxie's team? This wouldn't have to be some random optional trainer. It would have to be a great optional trainer. Maybe even a named character. But what named character is gonna have an optional fight this late in the game? Do you know what I'm building towards? It's Brendan, baby. Ooh, yeah, look at that bad boy loitering outside the department store. Just what I needed. Tabitha's team actually has no problem taking down Brendan, especially thanks to Confuse Ray's Zubat. This team also has 4 Pokemon, but they range from level 31 to 34 instead of 26 to 33. Pelipper can actually 1v1 Crobat with Supersonic and Protect strats. This leads right into Camerupt, which would be great if this Pelipper knew a water move. But it doesn't, so instead, Tropius can stomp flinch Camerupt, and Grovyle cleans up Camerupt and Mightyena. It took a few tries, but Brendan's team can absolutely beat Maxie's. And now, I get a Crobat. Hope I can use it for something cool. Nope, more grunts. 4 more grunts back to back here before I take on Aqua leader Matt. The previous grunt's Carvana gets decimated by Matt's Mightyena, so off the mandatory trainer path I go. Carvana beats Pokemaniac Mark on the 2nd floor of Mount Pyre, and I snatch Rhyhorn so I can use it against Cool Trainer Marcel on Route 121. He has another Manectric I'd like to use, so I defeat him and use that Manectric Spark to beat Matt's Golbat, and Shiftry is a perfect counter for the sand-attacking Mightyena, as its nature power turns into Swift. With Matt defeated and his team in my pocket, I can finally surf east of Lilycove, fighting the one mandatory trainer before arriving in Moss Deep. Right away, I have the option of entering the 7th gym, so I do, clearing out the 5 required trainers one by one, replacing them with the previous team each time. Each of them only have 1 Pokemon though, so when it comes time to fight Tate and Liza, I only have 1 Pokemon and can't fight them. So I need to find a trainer with at least 2 Pokemon to take on the Psychic Twins. And honestly, I have so many options available. With Surf, I have access to basically all the water routes in Hoenn, and 3 of Tate and Liza's 4 Pokemon are weak to water. Finding a team to beat Tate and Liza should be no problem. My friends, welcome to the single hardest part of this challenge. And I'm not being sarcastic here. This fight is brutal. First, let me remind you that Tate and Liza have 4 Pokemon, all levels 41 and 42, and fight in a double battle format. As established earlier, that makes things very tough, as there's lots of variables in play. While I do have access to fight basically any trainer for the rest of the game, almost none of them are helpful. The very best Pokemon I can find is level 35, a full 7 levels below Solrock and Lunatone. And despite so many water trainers, very few of them actually know water moves. And none of them know Surf, which would be really helpful in a double battle format. Additionally, there are almost no trainers with more than 2 Pokemon. Fisherman Ronald has a team of 5 Gyarados and 1 Magikarp for some reason, but most of them are so low level that they can't do anything. Using Intimidate over and over could have been helpful if Tate and Liza cared about using physical attacks at all. The best trainer I could identify was Swimmer Dean, who at least had 3 Pokemon, and 2 of them are Dark type, which is really important for the Psychic type leader, but they're all level 31. so each of them get shreked by literally any attack that comes their way. Honestly, it was disgusting. I really didn't know what to do. I couldn't carry Matt's team to Tate and Liza because of the gym trainers, and any trainer that could have been helpful isn't accessible yet. The upcoming Archie team would be great, but I can't get to him yet because I need Dive to get to the seafloor cavern. You know Dive, the HM you get when you beat Tate and Liza. I'll be extremely honest when I say that I genuinely thought the challenge was over here. No matter what I tried, I just couldn't come up with a strategy that even had a chance. They're just too strong. It seemed impossible to find a random trainer that could take on this behemoth of a fight. But before I gave up, I decided to try something. But to do this, I had to slightly bend a rule. Not break, just bend. You see, previously, I'd been treating double battles like single battles if possible. It just seemed easier to fight one person, take their team, then fight the other. If I fought them at the same time, whose team would I take? Does that count as one trainer? Yeah, so for simplicity's sake, I just took them out one at a time. But Tate and Liza basically have two teams. So, you know what? I should be able to use two teams too. Let's even the playing field, you know? So I beat Fisherman Ronald and then use his Gyarados to take on this double battle just south of Moss Deep. Birdkeeper Aiden and Cool Trainer Athena. They have a Swellow, Manectric, Skarmory, and Linoone. A diverse team, but again, 9 or 10 levels below Tate and Liza. So if you think I cheated by giving myself an unfair advantage, I'm really not. I'm just trying to survive here. I'm still underleveled by 10 levels. When I rolled up to the Tate and Liza fight, I still had no idea if this was remotely possible. But the setup I concocted to give myself a fighting chance is honestly the hardest puzzle I've ever tried to solve. Here's what happened. Tate and Liza begin with Claydol and Xatu. I start with Skarmory and Manectric. Xatu always goes first and is insanely fast. It sometimes sees a kill on Manectric with Psychic. If that happens, that's a reset. Sometimes it doesn't see a kill, so it'll go for Calm Mind instead. Manectric then needs to hit Xatu with a Thunder. If it misses, reset. If it doesn't kill, even if it paralyzes, Manectric gets killed by Claydol's Earthquake. The only way I don't reset is to get a crit with Thunder. Once that happens, Manectric has done its job and dies to Claydol's Earthquake, where Skarmory survives thanks to its flying type. In Gen 3 double battles, Pokemon are replaced mid-turn, so they send out Lunatone and I send out Linoone. Skarmory still has to move, and it lands a crit Steel Wing on Lunatone, but this doesn't kill. All of that was the perfect turn 1, so let's move on to turn 2. Linoone is the fastest on the field and does a tiny bit of damage on Lunatone, but that damage is very important. Claydol uses Earthquake again, but it doesn't kill Linoone. Lunatone had originally not seen a kill, so it just goes for Calm Mind. That's perfect because it doesn't affect the incoming Steel Wing, and thanks to the damage from Surf, is just enough to take out Lunatone. As turn 3 begins, we see Tate and Liza's final two Pokemon, and Linoone being at low health is the perfect setup. And that's because Linoone is bait. Solrock and Claydol both see a kill on Linoone, and because it's so low health, the move they use is random, which means I can get them to use exactly what I want. They lock into their moves, and then I switch out Linoone for Swellow. Claydol goes for Earthquake, which is perfect. Both of my Pokemon are flying type. Solrock needs to go for Psychic because although it usually kills Swellow, sometimes, just sometimes, it leaves Swellow with a tiny little itty bit of health. And what does this super fast Swellow just so happen to know? Why, it's the move Endeavor, a move that matches your opponent's health to your own, bringing Solrock's health all the way down. Because Swellow was a sitting target, both Pokemon target that slot, killing Swellow and then Linoone. Sad, right? Not one bit. Because while they wasted their time with that, Skarmory can now kill Solrock before Tate and Liza have a chance to heal up. At the end of turn 4, I've turned this fight into a 1v1. Although it can't use Earthquake, Psychic still does a lot of damage. Thankfully though, it's not a 2-hit KO. I have to reset to make sure every one of my Steel Wings lands as a crit. However, it's still not enough to 1v1 Claydol. But remember that one of the trainers I took this team from was a cool trainer, meaning I get 1 hyper potion to use. This gives me 1 extra turn with Skarmory, and with that 1 extra turn, I can land a crit Steel Wing to take out Claydol. Given 4 Pokemon with predetermined movesets and a 10 level disadvantage, I've found the exact way to beat Tate and Liza with another trainer's team. You don't even want to know how long it took me to figure this out, but I'm so proud of myself for solving this insane puzzle. With the 7th badge, I can go to the Moss Deep Space Center and take on the Chain of Grunts there, defeating the first Grunt and his Baltoy with Tate and Liza's team. Baltoy is terrible, so I'm not able to beat the next Grunt. So instead, I go and defeat Swimmer Kara and her level 34 Seaking. Seaking is much more adept at handling these 3 Pokemon, so I win and take them for myself. The next fight is a mini gauntlet of 3 trainers as I reach the 2nd floor. But with 2 Mightyenas and a Numel, this is actually pretty easy. Just like in the Slateport Museum mini gauntlet, I only take the team of the last trainer I fought, giving me, once again, a level 32 Baltoy. The next required fight is the double battle with Steven against Maxie and Tabitha, and with 1 Baltoy, how do you think that fight goes? If all my Pokemon faint, the battle ends, even if Steven's Pokemon are still alive. So I really gotta beef up my team. I take Baltoy over to Route 131 by Pacifilog Town, where tons of optional trainers are available to fight. With just 1 HP left, I barely managed to defeat Swimmer Kevin and his Spheal. With the increasing power of Ice Ball, I can take out Swimmer Katie and her Goldeen and Spheal. Now, with 2 Pokemon, I can match up with Swimmer Santiago, who has a Wailmer and, amazingly, also has a Tentacruel. This team is still pretty low level, but they might be a good fit for the Steven fight. With Tabitha's Camerupt out first, Tentacruel's Bubble Beam can 1-hit KO. From there, all I really need to do is stay alive, and let Steven's Pokemon do the heavy lifting. Tentacruel has good special defense, making him a fairly good tank. Even though Wailmer isn't fully evolved, he can soak up some hits with his great HP stat. I do need to get a little lucky with opponents targeting Metang instead of me, but before long, I can secure the win. In this one specific instance, I fought 2 trainers simultaneously, so it makes sense for me to choose the team I take. So obviously, I choose to take Maxie's, as both trainers have 3 Pokemon, but his team extends to level 43. Now that I've defeated Team Magma, Steven gives me the HM for Dive, meaning I can finally access the Seafloor Cavern. Every trainer here is optional except for 1, Aqua leader Archie. This is amazing since I still have Maxie's team, and can absolutely dunk on Archie. His team isn't bad necessarily, it's just way weaker than Maxie's. From here, we need to do some plot stuff, diving to Sootopolis, finding Rayquaza, and back to Sootopolis to end the Weather Wars. Through all of this, there are no mandatory fights, meaning when it comes time to take on the 8th gym, I still have Archie's solid team. By perfectly executing the gym puzzle, I can avoid all extraneous trainers, allowing me to take on Juan with Archie's team. Crobat can wing attack Love Disc, and because of Celio's ice moves, I switch to Sharpedo. Sharpedo can Swagger Stall Celio, and Screech to make the confusion damage even worse. On Whiscash, I get a free switch to Crobat on the upcoming Earthquake, and Confuse Ray stall it with extra wing attacks, being careful not to hit it into healing range. Kingdra is definitely scary, but by Confuse Ray stalling it, we can get it to low health. Now Kingdra wants to use Rest, but I can't have that happen, so I Bite Flinch it into Wing Attack crit range, taking it down before Rest or healing items come into play. Mightyena can 1v1 Crawdaunt, and now we have all 8 badges. With Juan's Pokemon by my side, I scale the waterfall in Evergrande City and enter Victory Road. The first mandatory trainer here is Wally. His team stands absolutely no chance as Kingdra Ice Beams everything, and the Dark-type Crawdaunt walls his ace Gardevoir. it would be great to carry Wally's team to the Elite Four, but alas, there are some mandatory trainers in Victory Road that you can't fight until after you beat Wally. So, Wally's team will be used to destroy Cool Trainer Hope, and we'll have to find another trainer's team to take on the Elite Four. But for now, there's a few other people in our way. Cool Trainer Hope's Roselia can beat Cool Trainer Shannon and her Claydol, but once again, I am having trouble with this Pokemon line. Instead, I go back to the beginning of Victory Road and just edge out Cool Trainer Albert with his Magneton and Muck. This should have been an easy fight for Claydol if, I don't know, they gave him a single ground move. But alas, we can still win. These Pokemon can defeat Cool Trainer Samuel, whose Pokemon needed to be obtained in order to defeat Cool Trainer Julie. There's just one more mandatory fight, Cool Trainer Edgar, and Julie's Pokemon can defeat Edgar's Cacturne and Pelipper. With these Pokemon in tow, I exit Victory Road, and now I've made it to the Elite Four. Cacturne and Pelipper, spoiler alert, are not strong enough to take on the first Elite Four member Sidney, as his Pokemon scale all the way up to level 49. I need to find a bridge team that's strong enough to defeat an Elite Four member. The first Elite Four member is Sidney, who specializes in dark types. If I can find another trainer with a type advantage and not terrible Pokemon, I may have a shot. Although I have basically any trainer in the game at my disposal, it's still a daunting task. Sidney's Pokemon range from level 46 to 49, and there are no trainers I haven't fought yet that can match that level. The Victory Road trainers are the closest, as most Pokemon on these teams are level 43. There's one team in particular that seems like it might be the solution. That would be Cool Trainer Caitlin. You may remember her for her infamous double battle where she skill swaps Truant off Slaking. But that Slaking would be perfect for me because it knows the move Brick Break, along with other strong physical moves. Even though it can only attack every other turn, it seems like a good option against Sidney. However, my current Cacturne and Pelipper team can't beat Caitlin off the jump. She also has a Gardevoir, which is awesome, and Cacturne matches up great as it's a dark type. Pelipper seems to match up well against Slaking too, since it knows Protect, the literal perfect strategy against Slaking. The problem would be that Pelipper knows 0 attacking moves. Protect, Mist, Stockpile, Swallow. The fuck is this moveset? If Pelipper could literally do any damage, this would be an easy win, but it can't, so I don't. I have to find another team that can beat Slaking. I have to go deep into Victory Road to defeat Cool Trainer Felix and his Medicham and Claydol, use them to defeat Cool Trainer Quincy and her special attacking Slaking, and then use them to defeat Caitlin and her Slaking. It was a roundabout path, but I finally have the team I want, and now it's time to see if these Pokemon can defeat Sidney. Despite Slaking's high attack, it barely 2-hit KOs Mightyena, and with loafing turns in between, I take a lot of damage just to defeat the first Pokemon. Gardevoir is also fairly useless against the dark types here, so initially, I'm very hesitant that this is gonna work, but that hesitation quickly subsides. Shiftry comes out next, and this is where things take a turn in my favor. Shiftry loves to use Swagger, which confuses me, but as I've established throughout this video, confusion is fine since I can just reset to never hit myself in confusion. But Swagger has another effect, sharply increasing my attack. So really, Shiftry just doubles my attack for free. The other thing Shiftry loves to do is go for Double Team. That sounds scary, but it's not, because I know Aerial Ace, a move that never misses, is super effective, and takes advantage of my own doubled attack. Thanks, Shiftry, you just made this fight winnable for me. Cacturne is third and lowers my speed on my Loaf turn, and sets up a Leech Seed as I one-shot it with Aerial Ace. Sidney sends out Crawdaunt next, and this plays right into my hands. Rather than Loaf, I switch to Gardevoir, which not only removes Leech Seed and the speed nerf, but allows Gardevoir to actually do something. because Gardevoir knows Thunderbolt. Through this, Gardevoir kills Crawdaunt and does as much damage as possible to Absol. Now, I can bring in Slaking to end the fight, not even needing to use the healing item I got from the Cool Trainer. Next up is Phoebe and her ghosts, and I'm hoping that Sidney's Dark-type team will have the upper hand. Mightyena does good damage to Dusclops, but it curses to kill itself. That motivates me to switch out, and I go to Absol. Absol knows Swords Dance, which is great for me, but I switch into a Will-O-Wisp, kind of negating my attack boost. In theory, I still go for Swords Dances as I let myself get hit by Banette. Once I'm at +6 attack and low health, I can use the healing item I got from Sidney, but it's not just any healing item. It's a full restore, so it heals both my HP and my status condition. With no burn and max attack, Absol can one-hit KO all of Phoebe's Pokemon, with the exception of her final Dusclops, who has to take a second attack. But defeating Phoebe is no problem. Defeating Glacia is definitely a problem though. Between Glacia's Pokemon knowing super effective attacks, constant hail, and strong, accurate blizzards, Glacia's team is tough. And with each Elite Four member having slightly higher leveled Pokemon, I'm at a disadvantage already. This definitely feels like the hardest back-to-back in the Elite Four puzzle. But here's what I can do. I have a Banette that knows Thunderbolt, so I use that to get Celio below half health. It just sets up Hail, which means I can take it out with a second Thunderbolt. Next, Glacia sends out Glalie. Because she sends it out now, and because I've done this fight multiple times, I know that this Glalie knows Crunch. So I switch into my one Pokemon that takes Dark-type moves for neutral damage, Sableye. As Sableye gets hit with Ice Beams, I go for double teams, getting down to just 1 HP as Hail thankfully ends. I use my first full restore now, and thanks to some misses, I can get to 3 HP and take out Glalie with Shadow Balls. Against Celio, I just want to do some damage before dying, but the double teams come in clutch, and I get Celio down to low health before Sableye dies. This is perfect, as Glacia uses a full restore just to go down to 1 Thunderbolt. I still want Thunderbolt for later, so I switch into Dusclops and Curse to take myself out. With my better Dusclops, I can stay in and tank hits while Glalie is cursed. Glacia uses her second full restore now, and Dusclops can take out Glalie. Now we see the final Pokemon, Glacia's ace, Walrein. Surf leaves me on just 1 HP again, and I use my final full restore here. I can force the Citrus Berry proc before Dusclops goes down, and Banette does damage as Walrein tries to go for Sheer Cold, which is terrifying, as I'm a lower level than it. I get Walrein down to low health, but Glacia already used up her healing items. Instead, she takes Banette number 1 out and allows my Thunderbolting Banette to come in and kill Walrein. Using Phoebe's team, I was able to defeat Glacia. This team's ice moves will make Drake's Dragon team a piece of cake. Celio can kill Shelgon, and I swap in Walrein on Salamence. Walrein one-hit KOs Salamence with Ice Beam, and Altaria with Ice Beam. Kingdra is not playing those games though, and continues using Dragon Dance to get scarier and scarier. Amazingly though, Walrein was Glacia's ace, and Kingdra is not Drake's ace. So, both Pokemon are the same level. That means before Kingdra can start the sweep of my entire team, I can hit it with Sheer Cold. Then I take out Flygon with Ice Beam and get a first try victory over Drake, throwing out Glacia's team and stealing Drake's, who I can use in the final fight of the game against champion Wallace. My plan is the same one that Drake just tried to execute, a Dragon Dancing Kingdra. However, Wailord's Blizzards are doing a lot of damage and messing with my flow. So on my next attempt, I switch up the strategy a touch. Instead of going right for Dragon Dances, I go for Smokescreens, getting Wailord down to -6 accuracy, where it misses all 5 of its blizzards. Now, I start raising my attack and speed. Wailord seems to have better accuracy with Double Edge, but I can use my first full restore as I continue my setup. Once I'm at +6 attack and speed, I can use Body Slam to eliminate the rest of Wailord's health. Gyarados is next, and its Intimidate brings me down to +5 attack. I decide to go for it anyway, but the Intimidate causes Body Slam to not one-hit KO. It just goes for Dragon Dance though, and I can kill it after Wallace heals up. Tentacruel can be one-shot after this, but the next Pokemon, Milotic, can't. It goes for Toxic, which might be concerning, but at least I can knock it out without taking another hit. Ludicolo also doesn't faint and goes for Double Team, but luckily I hit both it and the range to kill in one shot. Finally, we see Whiscash. At this point, the Toxic is starting to really hurt, so I use my final full restore now, allowing me to take out Whiscash with 2 Body Slams. Even with a level disadvantage, Drake's Kingdra can solo Wallace. But hold on, because although I am the Pokemon League champion, there's still one fight left. Deep in the heart of Meteor Falls sits a familiar face, Steven. I can get here without fighting any trainers, so I still have Wallace's team. However, I'm still about 20 levels below Steven. Can I outsmart the AI with a 20 level disadvantage? Let's find out. Steven starts with Skarmory, and I send out Wailord first. Wailord's advantage is that it knows the move Water Spout, a 150 base water attack up to 225 with the stab bonus. However, every time Wailord loses health, Water Spout becomes weaker. Wailord is slow, so if Skarmory goes for Aerial Ace, Water Spout is already doing pretty poor damage. However, Skarmory knows Toxic, which does damage but at the end of the turn, meaning I can go for a full power Water Spout. Skarmory also knows the move Spikes, which once again does no damage now. With just a bit of toxic damage, a second Water Spout is still strong enough to take out Skarmory. Next out is Aggron because it knows the super effective move Thunder. Aggron is also faster, so Wailord is a goner here. However, Aggron also knows another super effective move, Solar Beam. A move that just so happens to take 2 turns to complete, allowing Wailord to use Water Spout, which is still powerful enough to one-hit KO Aggron. Steven sends out Cradily third, and this is not what I want to see. Wailord has already taken 2 KOs, but his watch has ended, and Cradily takes him out with 1 Giga Drain. I decide to send out Tentacruel as I can go for a Toxic against Cradily. Cradily goes for Ingrain, so the damage is offset for now, but the Toxic damage will outpace the Ingrain healing eventually. Tentacruel can't do much to Cradily, but it did what I needed it to do, so I send out my Milotic next. Toxic will not kill Cradily from here, meaning Steven will use a full restore. That would be a disaster, so I need to do enough damage to make sure Toxic kills. Amazingly, Milotic outspeeds, and actually does fantastic damage with Surf. So the poison kills Cradily without Steven using a healing item. Finally, Steven sends out Claydol. Oh, you fool, you fell into my trap. This whole video, I've been bemoaning how awful Baltoy and Claydol are, and how difficult these trash bags have made this challenge for me. Well, finally, I can have the last laugh, because I can abuse the shit out of this thing. And that's thanks to 2 of my Pokemon, the first of which is Ludicolo. Ludicolo knows Leech Seed, which constantly steals a bit of Claydol's health, giving it to me. This is important because although Claydol is 19 levels higher than me, it actually can't deal much damage. So the recovery from Leech Seed is actually helpful. Ludicolo knows the move Double Team, which increases my evasiveness. By continuing to use this move, Claydol misses more and more of its attacks as I stay healthy with Leech Seed. Eventually, Claydol gets low on health, so Steven uses his first full restore. Unfortunate, yeah? Nope, it's amazing. Unlike a status condition, Leech Seed continues after a full restore, so I can just sit here as Claydol gets its health sucked down again. And all the while, what's happening? Claydol is wasting all of its attacking moves. I'm sitting here clicking moves that do literally nothing anymore, and Claydol is wasting all of its Earthquake PP. Every once in a while, it gets a hit, but Leech Seed just heals me back up. Steven wastes his second full restore, and then Claydol starts going for Ancient Power. This move only has 5 PP, so Steven heals up again, and very quickly, Claydol has no more attacking moves. Ludicolo has successfully PP stalled Claydol. Now that the options are only Reflect and Light Screen, I switch to my second important Pokemon, Gyarados. Steven uses a 4th full restore as I begin part 2 of my setup, Dragon Dancing Gyarados. With Leech Seed still lowering Claydol's health, Gyarados begins raising its speed and attack, getting to +6 in both, as Claydol gets down to red health. Finally, Steven is done using full restores, and I can finally take out Claydol. Now, I have a crazy strong Gyarados, and as Steven sends out Armaldo, Reflect ends. Absolutely perfect timing. I can launch a terrifying Earthquake, but amazingly, it doesn't kill. And Armaldo fires back with an Ancient Power, leaving Gyarados with just 5 HP. I can kill Armaldo, and Steven sends out his final Pokemon, Metagross. Since Earthquake is super effective, it only takes 1 to take out Metagross. So, with 5 Pokemon all underleveled by 20 levels and no items used, I can defeat Steven using Wallace's team, finally completing the challenge. If you enjoyed this video and want to see me try it in another game, like the video and tell me which game I should try in the comments. Also, you don't want to miss my next upload, so make sure you're subscribed and ring the bell for notifications. I had an absolute blast with this challenge, and I hope you did too. Thank you so much for watching, and take care.